just love the drama.
Biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips sink ships.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
Listen, you're really making a mess here. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're getting really cross with you.
The sticky patch came when the rest of the team's sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, boobs joke, hot ones.
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all.
The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to a rather mooted affair of I was going to say a special episode of the Wednesday week, but I don't feel like it's going to be that special. I assume we're probably going to get watched by a number of Sheffield United fans this evening, but it's down to us to try and maintain a monicum of decorum and a little bit of dignity and try and unpick the bones out of what was probably one of the worst results the club's had in a number of years. Yes, of course, I'm talking about the Steel City derby at Hillsborough, in which Sheffield Wednesday came out 3-0 losers, thanks to a double from Tyrese Campbell and the last one from a kid who's been rubbish, which is, not new news to Sheffield United strikers at Hillsborough. So let's get into it. Let's pick the bones out of it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It does help us out. And I do hate saying that. My apologies in advance. And joining me tonight, I've got another bloody Simon. I've got Charlie and I've got Stevie. Normally, this is the point where I ask them how their weekend went. But, I don't want to get into too depressing a topic. Your comments will be coming up live on screen if you do want to get involved. And if you are listening in the car and there are any kids, please be aware that there's probably going to be a fair bit of effing and or jeffing this evening. Let's get into it, let's get into it, folks. Simon, I'll come to you first. This is the lineup. So we started with Horvath, Fusiri, Palmer, Iorfa, Max Lowe, Amas, Valerie, Ingleson, Bannon, J-Lo, and some bloke who brought his boots to the ground, and we decided to give a bash. I have completely. I think I said it before earlier on the season. How is Ike Ugbo getting a start for this club? What pictures and whose kids does he have locked up to keep starting for this football club?
I can only think that the reason why he played is because Cads was away on international duties during the week. I think that's the only reason he got a start over him. The question mark I'd have actually is why he stayed on the pitch so long as he did, in all honesty. But I mean, the rest of the team...
I was shocked to see him come out after half-time, if I'm honest.
Yeah. The rest of the team writes itself because there isn't anybody else to choose from. We're at his bare bones, aren't we? So literally, I think we were talking off air. When was the last time the team changed from that midfield and that defence? And it was some weeks, months ago, because there isn't a fit 11 to start other than them. I mean, the real choice up front now is to choose between Cads or Ugbo, and we've already highlighting that I think the wrong choice was made there. But it begs the question, doesn't it? Because the guy is getting worse every game.
I don't know how you solve a problem. I don't know how to solve a problem like that because his head has gone. His head's gone. His confidence is on the floor. Do we try and find him a loan move out? Do we just try and ship him out? The fans are done with him. I'm absolutely fucking done with him, and have been for a number of months now. What's the answer?
I think you have got to look at loaning him out, but we've got so little to change him for that it's literally a body, isn't he? And that's what we've got. We've literally got bodies on bench, bodies in team. There are players there who, let's face it, if we hadn't lost the number of players we lost over pre-season, there's half that team wouldn't even be playing. And if you watch the credits at the start, I think there's 4 or 5 goals from Pato in that one. Christ almighty, that game called out for Callum Patterson yesterday.
Do you know what? I said exactly the same
absolute shithouse to wind them up.
Said the same to my brother. It's a shame that Callum Patterson did not play in this fixture. Chaz, Listen, well, you know, as Simon alluded to there, our hand is forced significantly in terms of what we play. I mean, but what we've got right now, just to shine a light on this, you've got 3 fullbacks playing at centre half. You've got a centre midfielder playing wing back. You've got a right back filling in at centre midfield. I mean, we are in an absolute shambles. And you know, there's an element of, you know, that we fast forwarding a little bit, taking a picture of yourselves in front of the away fans. I kind of like it, right? I like the shithousing, and if we did that, I'd be like, lol,
Yeah,
right? I
sure.
really would. But there has to be a sense of humility around this from their end, surely.
It's giving the well done, he's 11, isn't it? That's what it is. It's like, the thing is I absolutely would be lapping it up if we were doing it. That's the point of the derby. When you win, you get to be top dog, and when you lose, you get shit on. That's how it works, and that's fine. I absolutely don't resent any of that. What I resent is our lads not recognising that they were never going to win. So they might as well why not just kick the shit out of him? Like, why not? Let's get a compilation of terrible tackles, break some legs, ruin some days. Like, that was the hardest bit of watching the whole thing. I was so emotionally checked out of the result, I couldn't have given a shit. I don't think. And a draw would have felt like a 10-0 win. Like,
A robbery.
A draw would have been insane. They were 3-0. That weirdly, I was like, yeah, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. At the beginning of this season, you know, when everybody was like dropping out, we were losing all our players, and it was like, ha ha ha, the club's on its ass. I was like, we have to play those fuckers twice this season. Like, are you kidding me? We have to play them twice this season. In many ways, that result is probably completely fair and should be. You know, yeah, they're down the bottom of the league as well, but they're not going to stay there. As fun as it is, they've got the resources. We have nothing. We're playing kids. But at the very least, wouldn't it have been nice just to see Bannon just Peck's legs out? Like, just do it. Just who cares? Like, at least play like you hate them. Like, at least give something. Mark the Pitts Morale gave more of a shit than EK Ugbo, and to be honest, he scored as many at fucking Hillsborough, and he scored as many for us as the last season and a half as he has anyway. So it doesn't matter. Might as well have played him. I'd rather play him. At least he'd have took some of his legs out. There was nothing to watch. Nothing.
He's gonna
We might as
love
well watch
that.
dizzy penalties.
He's going to love that. He's going to love that reference.
Yeah.
You'll clip that. That'll be on his YouTube channel tomorrow.
I love that.
It was just the most depressing state of affairs, and for what? Like, for what? No one went, oh, I can't believe you lost that, lads. Oh, we're surely an easy point, we could have got it home. No one was saying that. We would have absolutely forgiven them if they'd have battered us, as long as we'd have played with an ounce of self-respect. Really, genuinely pathetic performance. And now this is all we've got to talk about. Have we really this whole season slagged them off? Really? Have we? Not really, because we're all aware as a bigger picture. I've literally said that there are sweet babies that can't do anything wrong because they've stuck around to play for this club. I've changed my mind. Actually. I think they can all piss off. They can all piss off.
Oh,
useless. Every last
you're
one.
You're gonna be all over Sheffield United Twitter by about 11 p.m. tonight, Chaz, with your Wendy Marr head loss or something like that. That's what's gonna happen. Speaking of the game, Stevie, we had a comment earlier on about Barry Bannon going missing. I'm on the fence with this, because obviously Barry Bannon is going to be our identified big threat as far as Chris Wilder's research is going to go. Do you reckon we did a number on him, or do you feel like he was lacking in terms of endeavour?
I think the smart answer, the answer that the people want to hear would be for me to say that he disappeared, he didn't turn up, he was anonymous yesterday, and I understand that. I totally understand the sentiment. I totally get it. Was he at his best? No, absolutely not. In a derby, people will throw that sort of that garb, that thing that where they say he never turns up for derbies and things like that. I understand again why people would say that. I'm not saying that it's all to be laid at his feet. Should he have done better? Potentially. Could he have done better? Quite possibly. At the end of the day, Barry Bannon could have been a 10 out of 10 yesterday. It's not changing the game, is it? It's not changing the way that we performed. That's not giving him a pass or anything like that. Absolutely not. But he wasn't. He's never been the captain, and we've talked about it a lot. He's never been the kind of captain who's going to get hold of people and drag them up and motivate people in that way. He's a shouter, he's a screamer. I love Barry Bannon. I've got a lot of time for him. I just don't think he was at his best yesterday, but he wasn't our worst player.
No, I don't think he was our worst player. I think you've answered that really well. My apologies for chucking you under the bus and having to slag off our captain, but it was a tough loss.
Friend of the show, Barry Bannon.
Yeah, innit? It was a tough loss to take, Simon. Like, the life was sucked out of the game as they scored quite early. I think we had an attack that got cleared out quite early by Ben Mee. I mean, if you look at the lineup that Sheffield United have got, you've got players like Tananga, Mee, you've got Tyrese Campbell, who loves a derby, Danny Bloody Ings up front. They should have been winning that game. You know what I mean? And I've seen a lot of tweets about people making reference to the average age of the squad, and it's not beating up a bunch of kids. I feel like it's a bunch of kids that are now injured. We were a bunch of kids. They've all gone for surgeries now, apparently, and there's also an element of a lot of this team would have been a reserve. A lot of this team that are starting these games would have been on the bench. So they haven't beaten a load of kids. They've beaten a load of reserves and supplemented with kids and a couple of people that have stuck around. And I'm remiss to slag anybody off, don't get me wrong, but the life and soul was taken out of that game very early on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought we started off the first 5-10 minutes really positive, and we actually looked like the team that I think we all wanted the team to be for 90 minutes. We were in at them, and it looked like Wednesday were going to give them a fight, but that goal, it was poor play that led to goal. But I just think it just took the wind out of the sails, and when I don't think, have we scored 2 goals at Hillsborough this season yet? We've not got many goals in us. We've not got many goals in us, and I really do feel that goal early on, any fight and any passion the lads had in them just literally evaporated.
Did you feel like the goal was against the run of play as well?
Yeah, I did. And the thing was, I mean, somebody's put along about playing it from the back. I think it worked in fits and starts, but I think it was Lowe who passed it into the centre when Amas was crying out for it on the wing, and we were like, and the ball was to Amas. And he played it into the middle, and we lost possession. I think it was Valerie, and then they scored from that. And that just deflated the entire game, just deflated it. And then you looked at the key players, and you're right about the young kids. I mean, if you think about it, if we'd not gone through what we've gone through now, would Palmer be playing every game this season? I don't think he would. I don't think Iorfa would be playing every game this season. Would we be playing Valerie in midfield? We wouldn't. Sean Fuzier wouldn't be playing. Ugbo definitely wouldn't be playing. We've got players here who we're having to try and get a tune out of, and we're struggling. I thought Valerie was very poor yesterday, but I'll also go back to what I said before we came on air: is we were poor, but they are so much better than us. That team is so much better than us. They were quick on the ball, passing the ball. They were better than us. They're not the best team I've seen at Hillsborough this season by a long, long way. No. And I think they will struggle this season.
They didn't have
to be. Better than us.
They didn't have to be, did they? They didn't have to be amazing.
No, they didn't have to be.
They are better than us on paper, and they were better than us. What's so embarrassing is we effectively went, go on then. Like, I think that's what was so rubbish. Like, we've played better than that. We've played better than that this season.
We have played better than
way
that.
Better.
But I think when we went that goal down, I think there is such a lack of belief in the side that we can score and get a goal back, especially with the front 1.5 that we're playing. That we're struggling when we go a goal down to get a goal back, and when we do get a goal back, can we score any more than one? We've seen it at Charlton. We've seen it West Brom. We've seen we get a goal. Norwich. Look at Norwich game. I mean, we battered Norwich at home, didn't we? And we drew 1-1.
Yeah.
And I think it was that sucker punched, and then after that we were just playing second fiddle all the way through the game. Oh, it was sickening, absolutely sickening.
It was dire. It was dire. Now, in true Sheffield Wednesday fashion, after not testing their goalkeeper whatsoever. I mean, Charlie, do you remember going out when you were a kid, going laking? And that's going out to play in Barnsley, by the way. That's what they say. And your mum had said to you, make sure you come back clean. I bet Michael Cooper in the goal for Sheffield United, I bet his mum was well happy about washing the kit.
He can wear that shirt again. That's fine, that. You can, he'll barely have broken a sweat. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit
Jazz,
of
you
me.
literally can't speak. That is the
I'm
first time
so-
I've ever managed to catch you out, the years you've been doing this show. That's the first time I've ever been able to catch you out. Drink more Blooch, come on.
I just think, like, it was no one's individual fault. I want them all to feel bad. Like, I want them all to be like, no, don't try and pass the buck. But I think there's little things where, like, things like with the goalkeeping, really, like, there's some absolutely shodding defending and shoddy goalkeeper going on that I don't really care about on any other game. I'm like, yeah, he's fluffed it up again. He's our emergency goalkeeper because our little tiny baby goalkeeper, who's fantastic, Pierce Charles is fantastic, but our guy is injured and he's our oh shit goalkeeper that we've got in. Of course he's crap. That's fine. It's just so endlessly frustrating for a game like this. If there was one game that they could have all just really turned it on for, it would have been this, really, because literally what else have we got this season? And also, I hate that I'm talking like this because I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy about the derbies normally. I don't care, really. Not really. Like, it's not actually more important than not getting relegated most of the time. It's not actually important than any other 3 points or 1 point or whatever. It's just the principle of it. Like, I'm just going to keep drinking. I'm making the same points as I did earlier. I'm fed up.
We've had some Sheffield United fans on. We've had Mr. Vancouver. He's come on.
Haven't you taken enough?
He said, we slaughtered you lot. Have fun in the pub league, you massive club, you. Yeah, we will. Thanks.
They probably will, to be fair. I'm quite looking forward to it.
But at the end of the day, did they slaughter us? Really? I mean, I actually thought, no.
Yes.
No, I thought
Yes,
in
they did.
I thought in
I
the
feel dead.
I thought in the 85th minute we sent to down tools. I think it was an Amas passed the ball forward and they intercepted it.
We down tools a lot earlier than that, side, surely.
And they were queuing up at one point. There was 5 or 6 of them in our box and they didn't score. Cannon got through 1-on-1 and I'm thinking, well, here we go. Here's another one. Didn't score. I mean, his goal, and I'll take it away from him, £10 million player, deflection for the goal. Second goal they scored, Horvath should have done better. Look, I think we're all looking at it with the fact that it's United. I'm just going through results. We got beat 3-1 by Southampton, a team just come down from the Premier League. We got hammered by Coventry City. This hurts more because it's that lot from the other side of the city, our little brother from the other side of the city, who 2 seasons ago came down from the Premier League, have got players that come off the bench that are worth 10, 20 million pounds. We've got Charlie McNeil, who, in accordance to my son, is one of the worst players he's seen wear a Wednesday shirt. He's up there with Ugbo, according to Ethan. We've got Sean Fuzier, who last year was struggling to break into the reserve team, let alone play for the first team. We've got Igbe Ugbo. The reason why we're playing him is because there aren't any other strikers. All the young kids who we play.
Play him. Just play someone else.
Say, Mark the Pitts, Morale, whoever.
Yeah. Have we got another goalkeeper who could just play? Have we got anybody in the crowd who's like maybe got a lot of loyalty points? Like,
he had number 11 on the back of his shirt on Sunday. I tell you what, let's get into some comments. So, for example, right, Chris McClure put a tweet out saying Sheffield United 3, Chan Series 11-0, and I kind of knew what he meant by that. This is the team that's left after Chan Series' departure and he's gone with only one man to blame and he's sat in Thailand with his feet up. We've got nothing on the bench and the first 11 are a League One team. United are just better than us, like every team in this league. I agree. The depth isn't there. The depth and the quality isn't there. And to coin a phrase I've used before, beating us, a team that's still got parachute payments and they've got players that have played in the Champions League and £10 million strikers, that is like winning who's tallest in my house against a cat. You know what I mean? I there shouldn't be any. You should go, yeah, we beat them and move on. Like I said this about Chris Wilder before. I wish he'd just pretend like we didn't existed. Like we didn't exist. You know what I mean? So, for example, this fixture last year was back in March, and it was the most important thing in the world to Chris Wilder, and it ruined their season. They there was like this big, deep breath that he took. There was still 6 games to go in the season, and he's gone, wow, that's that monkey off the back. And it meant the world to him, and great, and well done you, and all the rest of it. But you had better things to worry about than the plight to Sheffield Wednesday that last season. And I'll be honest, given where you are in the league, you've still got better things to worry about. They should just go, yeah, we've just smashed that team at the bottom. We should see you later and move on. And all the rest of it that comes with it. And I know he went out of his way to mention that he shook hands with Liam Palmer and Barry Bannon, but it seemed like half a crumb, especially after giving it the counting shit.
That's worse than dancing on a table. That's worse. You can respect a man when he's giving it all that. That's absolutely fine. But the whole, I gave it. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. I hate that. I wouldn't want us to do that. I wouldn't want us to do that. If we had beat them 3-0 by some miracle that presumably they all got struck down with vomiting sickness, diarrhea bug, like right in the face, I'd want Peterson to literally be in like their face, like, have it. That's what I'd want. Absolutely. Shake their hand and, yes, I understand your plight. Gio, that's ridiculous. Get on a table. Be a normal person. That's mental. I hate that.
And then we had a couple. We had a good one here from James Reaney saying beating us and celebrating like that is like celebrating sticking a puppy top bins, which I feel like we've mixed the 2 metaphors in there. But now I've got this visual, realization of a puppy getting bent in the top corner, not putting the ball in the top bins or sticking a puppy in the bin. No, celebrating sticking a puppy in the top bins, which I agree. Simon's just dipped out. Don't forget it's Manchester United versus Everton. I assume he's doing some goals.
That's Stevie that's gone.
It's Stevie, I'm here.
That's Stevie. I know Stevie and Simon look really similar. So
yeah, we are quite similar.
Really
yeah.
That's what I meant. So anyway, let's just go 3 for 1 right now until Stevie comes back. Right, so we've gone to the second half. In the first half, not really a lot to write home about. We had Iorfa mislaid a back pass, Horvath too slow, misplaced pass, gave Ings a great chance. Danny Ings didn't turn up. I was happy with the way we dealt with Danny Ings. And then there was this Tananga and Palmer shirt pulling incident that I think was a lot about nothing. I didn't really see much there. I think they both had hold of each other's shirt. And then in true Wednesday fashion, we've come out the first half, gone back in, and I don't know if we all sat around and had a hot chocolate at the half time and just a bit of a back rub, something like that. I'd be smashing tellies up against the wall if that was my half time team talk.
It was. I actually thought, because we've had this first half shit or second half shit. We've always had a half that's been half decent. So I was actually thinking, well, we weren't very good in that half, and we managed to keep them down to 1. So this second half, he got all the subs came out, and then all the subs went in. And I thought he's going to mix it up. He's going to change it around a bit. He's going to, like you say, he's going to throw the teacup against the wall. Barry Bannon's going to stand up and make some rousing Celtic speech. And we're going to come out in the second half, and we're going to have a go at him. And it was crying out for just a nasty tackle or something that, the referee, we could talk about referee if you want to later. And then the same team came out and they just carried on doing the same as what they did in the first half. And that was really disappointing, because if anything, you see, I've always liked Ingelsson, because he's one of these guys that if he goes in on a tackle, he normally doesn't take any prisoners. But my God, some of his tackles were so, I don't want to hurt you. And show some of these players that, thank God Sidney Peck didn't spend half the game falling over like he did when we played him last March. My God. But it was just crying out for somebody just to fucking white one of their players out.
Yes.
It just
That's all it needed. That's what the crowd needed.
Somebody, actually saying that, Jamal Lowe wrote off one of their players in front of the North stand. Sort of middle of the second half, which was class, absolute class. But he just needed somebody to take it by the scruff of the neck in middle of the park and just basically show one of their players that you're in a game now, and we never did that. We never, and to be honest, they never did it to us either. I mean, the old-fashioned derbies where it was blood and guts, and they were kicking seven levels of shit out of each other in the centre of the park, and Chris Morgan would come in and you'd be like, you hated his guts, but what he made up for in the lack of talent was the fact that you'd get kicked up in the air, and that's what we needed. And we had none of that. There was so much respect given to other players. Are we getting footballers now who are mates off the pitch? So when it comes to a game, they don't want to kick them, they don't want to hurt them. You know, Palmer's blue and white. He should have gone through every single player of his heart. Oh, I'm not going to get the ball. Fuck you. I'm going to break your ankles. You know, and the couple of the yellow cards we got were just pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And it just cried out for somebody to get, and the crowd became very flat as well. You know, and there's nothing like a tackle where it's blood and guts and then all the crowd are up. I mean, even United were quiet until the end when they knew they were going to win it, you know? And
it's because the game was shite. Do you know what I mean? I tell you what, let's get some adverts in. Give me a second.
Don't skip ahead, don't press that button. These ads are lean, not belly mutton. A tiny break before we pop. And don't forget when fun stops.
We've had some more comments come in. We've had Mr. Vancouver be on. He says, with all due respect, our lineup yesterday was made up of Freeze and Academy players, with the exception of Cooper, Tananga, and Cannon, with the exception of a third of the team. And he said Cannon wasn't 10 million. It's close to 6.5. Stop your excuses. I'm not making excuses. Tommy Cannon cost you near 10 million. And it's not an excuse. It's very well documented that half of our team left on a free, and we only got 2 million for Jedi Gassama so we could pay the wage bill. You know, I don't understand what rise you're trying to get out of me.
We're agreeing with you. We're saying we were crap, and you're like, yeah, you're crap, weren't you? Yeah.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, boy.
And hang on a minute, our play was worth 6.5, not 10. Well, ours isn't even worth about 500,000 for our entire team. So get back in your box. Sure.
Well done.
Real underdog story there, wasn't it? Real. Oh my God, they'll be making films about that one. Absolute Rocky comeback moment. Gosh, you beat us. We're crap. We're terrible. 3-0's pathetic. You should have beat us 6-0.
Yeah.
Oh, have we got more blades on? Have we got more blades on? Is this another blade?
Yeah, Richard Lowe. Here we go. So we celebrated because we won our nearest rivals. There were 2 places between us. Stop trying to stop us celebrating. We celebrated because you lot were saying unless we hammered you, then it didn't count. No, that's not what we're saying.
Nobody's saying that.
No, nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying
every
that.
right to celebrate. Of course you have. You've just won the derby. Yeah. We're angry we don't like the guys in blue and white. Okay, so we're angry at them. You guys can do what you want.
And they did.
It's our boys that have annoyed us. Yeah, and you did. You took a picture at the end. Of course you did.
Yeah,
of course you did.
Because
you won the game.
We even said
we were there.
Do that.
We all saw it. We all saw it happen.
Does anybody think that picture was a dig at Danny Rule at the back end of last season? Because that was the first thing, down at Watford, where he got everybody lined up.
You know what? I thought of that myself. You know, when you're laid in bed and you start daydreaming a little bit, and I thought that to myself. I thought, I wonder if that's like some kind of dig at Danny Roll. But it was the last game of the season, and he just wanted a picture with his players and his coaching team from his first ever management job, and on the last game of the season, and he knew we weren't coming back by then, and I didn't really think twice about it. So yes, maybe it is a dig, but then again,
and they don't manage us anymore.
That's their right, though. That's their right to do that. If they wanted to have an owl shot in the face on the pitch, they could have done that. They won the derby. They get to do whatever they want. No one is taking that away from them. It's crazy an accusation.
Like, there's 2 things there on the back of that. If it is a dig at Danny Roll, he don't go here no more. I don't know.
Who cares?
He has no interest in S6 anymore whatsoever.
And the second one, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would have dressed in a sausage roll costume and then put a black bin liner in homage to Chris Wilder's outfit at Wembley over the top of the sausage roll outfit to take the piss. I would have done. Crack on, lads. We'd all fucked off. You can do your counting thing as much as you like. We're all fucked off. We're angry.
Yeah, we're angry. Like, if we'd have won, again, by some miracle, Pedersen could drop his kecks and moon the away fans for all I care. That's what you do when you win. The idea that we in any way, you can, if you want to talk about it, yeah, you're still near the bottom of the league, So what? They still win the derby. That's how this works. That's the agreement you get into when you do the derby. If you win, everybody else sucks but you. If you lose, you have to put up with it. That's how it works. We've all got friends who are Unitedites who've been going way all day, but if you'd win, you'd go way back to them. That's how it works. You get to keep that. That's fine. Do whatever you want.
The grim realism about this is the fact that in summer, the players that left had scored 42 goals last season for Wednesday, and we replaced them with
nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So we took 42 goals out of that team with the players that left, and we replaced it with absolutely
Zero.
Sweet Fanny Adams, right?
But they didn't. But I just need to reiterate, they didn't spend 10 million on Tommy Cannon.
Tommy
It
Cannon.
was
I'm about
only
to say,
Don't say that. Don't say they did.
it's only 6.5.
Yeah.
Only.
Morbades fans on here. Look, we've got what we got. We've got. You still have more points deductions coming. Yeah,
we
do.
know.
Yeah, we do.
We watch the pod every week. We know.
We do.
Let's
know
let's
what?
get it out of the way.
We'll end up bottom of the league, and you might be two places above us.
We're going to get relegated. We know.
I'm not goading or
doesn't really
condoning
matter.
owl shooting. Let's move on. Let's move on from this game, because I've got an important hot topic that I want to discuss. The last goal we just pushed forward, and they ended up breaking through. And bear in mind, Tommy Cannon, only £6.5 million player. It took a deflection. Let's not fuck about. You know what I mean? Like, he's hit it, and we've all pushed forward. Like, come on now, it is what it is. So the end of the game came around, and a lot of questions, Stevie, were asked about Henrik Pedersen, and I feel like it's a prevalent issue that needs to be talked about how much he didn't get the selection right, and how much in terms how good he is at the motivation side of it when it comes to a derby, because we all know that the difference between two teams in relegation, both for very different reasons, the difference probably would have been Chris Wilder. We knew that would be a factor because of how much he will rile his players up for this. Do you feel like Pedersen's criticism is unjust?
I'm glad you asked that question tonight rather than last night. For no other reason that when I say yes, it's unjust, I think I'd have got a lot more pelters last night than I might do tonight, and I might still get them. I don't understand the extent to which people are starting to call for him and digging him out. At the end of the day, we've talked a lot tonight and over previous weeks. We're dealing with the hand, or we're playing with the hand that we've been dealt with. Pedersen can only do so much. If there was a question to be had, and I know that there are people on whatever platforms that are saying it's time to chuck the kids in, it's time to play this person, why we're playing, we talked about it tonight, the narrative might be why we're playing a right back in midfield and a midfielder at right full back, why we're playing this player there and that player there, and so on and so forth, how we've not managed to motivate them and get them up for the derby. The bottom line is he set us up, he made all the right noises beforehand. I think his hands are tied to an extent. The only question that I've got with Pedersen is, I do, and I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Will Granger. I do wonder why he's not getting more of a look in, even if it's for 15, 20 minutes off the bench, given everything that he seems to be doing on a youth international level, and the fact that he complemented Cadamartri so well last season, the young Cadamartri so well last season. And there are another couple of bits here and there that I'd say, all right, as I'm looking down the bench now, we're only playing or making 3 substitutes here and there. I'd question that. From a motivational point of view, my only thing that I'd say is we're now at a point where we are so mentally and psychologically fragile. I don't think anybody would motivate us to the point where if we go 1-0 down in the first 10 minutes of a game at Hillsborough, we'd be able to come back to it. And I just think that's something that we've got to address. And I don't think that happens overnight with the same set of players that we've got, with the same setup that we have in terms of the style of play that he's going to put forward. He's playing 3 or 5 at the back because he needs to play 3 or 5 at the back, and there might be clamour to go to a 4, play fullbacks in fullback positions and so on and so forth. The bottom line is we haven't got enough in front of him in front of that back four to play that position. When we are as best as we are, and I know that we concede too many goals, but we're setting up to try and play a low block. That's a trendy way of saying things, isn't it? Right now, we're doing the best that we can. It's when we get into that third quarter, if you like, of the pitch that we start to fall apart. I don't think it's unjust, or I do think it's quite unjust, the amount of aggro that Pedersen's had over recent weeks.
Well, let me take a dig into this, Simon, for you. So, this is the general consensus in the comments here. So, Jack Foxhill Howler's gone with Pedersen is too much of a nice guy. Blair went selection. Who else could he have picked? Well, he could have not played EK fucking Ugbo for one. Jot that down. And then Terry Ibbard. Pedersen spoke a very good game beforehand, saying it's more than a game, etc. But his team didn't play like he did. And it's right. I don't think they played like they knew they understood that we had to work with these people the following day. And then Jack Foxhill Howler's gone. We had one job yesterday to turn that game into a scrappy shit show, and we didn't do that. And Matt Talbot has gone with, I get we're in a position because of one man, but he's playing players out of position, playing Valerie in Fusier's position. I've got to question why he's pushing players to their limit, which will cause injuries. He's not a manager, he's a coach, which I agree with to some extent. He's still the crackhead that stuck around in this shit show. You know what I mean? He's not going to be Pep Guardiola. I understand that, but when you've got a midfielder playing fullback and a fullback playing his centre mid, seems an easy one for me, I must admit. And then Alex has gone with a bit more harsh. He's gone, Pedersen is all nicey and can't motivate the players. New owners will 100% boot him. In my opinion, he's a PE teacher. However, Harpo speaks and he's coming very measured, and I think this is the best thing that we've put on tonight. Is I've no idea how to judge Pedersen in these circumstances.
That's such a good point.
Either.
That's actually probably the fairest comment. Is like he's not above
100%.
Criticism, but at the same time, it's like we're judging how well he can sail, and we've given him no oars, and his boat's got an hole in. It's like it's really not. It's not fair, is it? And I think the difficult thing is one thing I will say though, like back to sort of the attitude thing, is one thing I have never once complained about with any of the players this season has been that attitude and that lack of fight. Like, we've made silly mistakes, we've made silly defensive errors, heads have gone a little bit, but I don't think we've been spineless. I think most of the lads, particularly, the ones that have like stuck around and stuff, they've been kind of up for a bit of a scrap. And so I've attributed a lot of that to Pedersen kind of having a little bit of that, look, we know we're kind of arseholed. We know, particularly when we got the points deduction, we know this is going to be rough. But I feel like there was still a real sense of that. Like Barry came out and did that really good interview, and Pedersen did one, like, when we went into admin, and it was a bit like, look, we know this is shit, but. So I think that was the disappointing thing, is I actually think it's the first time we've seen that kind of like, oh, the wheels have absolutely fell off, like it's all gone now.
Yeah.
So is that just getting spooked by the derby? Maybe. Like,
I think this has got the potential to be a generational head loss.
Yeah, like Hillsborough's a very unforgiving place when we do go quiet. Like it's that absolute like polar opposite. When we're all behind them, it's amazing, and then when there's that feeling of, oh God, it's all gone. They must have just absolutely just shit it, like really just shit it, and it is unforgivable in a way, but. I don't know. I just don't feel we've seen that. I just don't think we've seen that level of tail between legs up to this point. Not really. And that's the hardest bit to take, I think, is this idea that maybe, I don't know, maybe we haven't got some special magic in us this season. Maybe it is just going to be shit. There's no story. There's no comeback. There's no twist. It's like the best we can hope for is the off the pitch stuff. But really the on the pitch stuff is just going to be this, isn't it? That's all it is. It's going to be more crap.
It really is. I tell you what, Simon. Let's wrap up this game. Let's wrap up this game in terms of statistics. We did have more of the ball, but where we've got five shots from, I've no idea. Big chances missed. 4-0. We lost that one. We had more accurate passes, obviously, because we had more of the ball. 3 yellow cards. Big ones that stand out there. Shots blocked. Two blocked shots. Where were they?
I don't remember that at all. I would have remembered that. Because I don't think it was near enough. There's no way that happened. Did we block our own shots? Is that what they mean? Like, as in we kicked it off our own arse? There's no way. I do not remember that.
Yeah. We had an offside as well. Go on, Si.
If I can go back to the Pedersen point, I think it's incredibly harsh to have what he had against him last night on Twitter following the Derby loss. I understand that. Of all the games, it's the first game you look at. The first 2 games you look at, isn't it? Home and away. When United are in the same league as you. The the guy stood up and took the role when we knew Danny Roll was off, and he stood there. He lost all his coaching staff. We didn't have a pre-season. He's had to dip into the youth team, of which probably 70% of those lads he played are all now injured and out for the rest of the season. I understand the Will Granger point, but maybe he's looking at that going, do I want to injure another one? And one thing I'd not thought about, which is what Steve came out with, was this whole mental issue. The fact that these lads are even though we've had 2 weeks off, they're tired. They're having to play every game. You've got 30. I don't know how old Palmer is, 34, 35. You've got 36-year-old Bannon. These guys' bodies aren't designed to be playing this amount of football regularly on which they've done, because we haven't got another team in them. So it's going to come to a point where you're at breaking point. And I think, unfortunately, that also coincided with us playing United. They're going a goal down. We ain't got goals in us. I've just looked through, we're not scoring. Last time we scored 2 was probably Birmingham. We're not scoring. If anything, if things can turn around in the next month and we can actually sign somebody or some players in January, we've got to look at somebody to bring. We've got to be bringing in somebody who can score goals and somebody who can replace or not replace, but somebody who can come in and play in these positions of Palmer, of Bannon, when they can no longer run anymore because their legs are fucked. Because the heads go as well. If you're knackered, you all know about it, don't you? When you guys get tired, your decision-making goes off. And the decision-making yesterday was piss poor.
Yeah, starting Ugbo was a piss poor decision to start with. You know what I mean? Let's go down that route again. I tell you what. Listen, there's Stevie. I've got to get through to this last point before I move on, because I need to talk about Harry Amas, and I need to talk about this young man. Jack Fox-Elau's gone. We'd never expected a win, but the players had no fight, no desire expecting 18-year-old Harry Amas. That kid is going to be a mega star if he stays fit and he gets the right moves. And he was brilliant, and he absolutely showed up. The other 10 players, well, I don't know if you can count the goalkeeper in it, but you should. The other 10 players in a blue shirt, he's shown them up. He's shown them up, and that's how you play with fight and endeavour in a city derby, not a rivalry like the M23 rivalry or Liverpool versus. That is a derby. That is a big, tasty, dirty, shitty derby. And Amas, I thought, was the fight that kid showed was brilliant. A couple of times he lost it, don't get me wrong, but he gave it the beans, and that's all I wanted.
100% agree. Boy's a superstar in the making. I thought he showed a level of endeavour that it would have been. It was necessary for other players on the pitch yesterday to show. They didn't turn up, and he did. Fair play to the kid. Like you said, he's going to be a megastar. I think, if I'm critical, super critical, he's got a touch of a Pierce Charles about him. And what I mean by that is that your Arsenals, your Liverpools, and I know he plays for Manchester United. I'm just thinking big picture, 5 years' time. Is he going to have enough size about him to play on a regular basis at the top level? Because nowadays you look at that back line, you look at the size of the Arsenal back line, you look at the size of players that are playing in Champions League. He doesn't have that going for him. If you can potentially look beyond that, and surely there's a team that will be willing to do that at some point. It's just where it goes. He could be, every attribute that you'd want in a player he's got. I think he's phenomenal. He's only, as we're talking about, he's a little lad, that the spring that he gets, the way he puts his body on the line, he doesn't panic. Everything he does, he likes to play in tight areas. You can't say enough, positive things about him. If we'd have had 5, 6 lads turn up and give half the effort that he gave yesterday, we'd have been talking about a different story. Absolutely talking about a different story. I agree. Other players would need to be looking at that. I know we're probably not going to get onto it in any sort of depth, but I just want to give a quick shout out to Liam Cooper. I thought he came on and looked very good last night. I thought he looked solid. Sorry, yesterday afternoon he looked solid. I'm heartened by him turning up. But other than that, Amas was an absolute superstar yesterday.
Got called out in the comments, Steve, from Matt Talbot, saying Ashley Cole and Garrett Neville weren't that big. Them defenders from 20 years ago. What about that?
100%. I hear exactly what you're saying. I'd argue, my argument to that is, Yeah, totally agree. But we're playing football in 2025 now. And I'm not saying that I agree that that needs to be the thing. I'm not saying that at all. You look at Messi. Would Messi get through a system nowadays at 5'8" or whatever he is?
No.
You know, people will argue that he will and say I'm being a dick and so on and so forth. But he broke through 15, 20 years ago when size wasn't as important as it is now.
Interesting fact about Lionel Messi: he actually was short as a kid, and when Barcelona essentially kidnapped him, they gave him a growth hormone.
Growth hormones.
Yeah.
To make him more bigger. And and also Erling Haaland was actually quite short, and he had a growth spurt well late into his teens. That's why he's so quick and powerful now, because he learned how to sprint and he learned how to be quick when he was short, and then all of a sudden his legs are twice as big, and now he knows how to move them, which is impressive. But Martin has gone with Martin 84 said, my missus says size is always important, Stevie. So jot that down. One thing I do want to say, Charlie, about Cooper when he came on, after about 40 seconds of him being on the pitch, Sheffield Wednesday were given a corner, and I was like, this has got Lloyd Owusu written all over it. Watch this. Like beans on toast. Here we go. And we took a short corner and fannied it, and we ended up passing it back to the keeper, didn't we?
What makes us think that bearing in mind, we can't do a corner. So the idea that we're trying to do this fancy corner is so frustrating to me. Like, I get it, but at the same time, please stop doing it. Like, at least when you attempt to cross into the box from a corner and it goes a bit awry, it's like, oh, it is what it is, hoping it might land off somebody's head. Being like, let's overcomplicate this. Let's undercomplicate this. Let's undercomplicate everything. Like, it's so insane. Yeah, it was really disappointing. It was, yeah. But wouldn't it have been great? But it wasn't. But wouldn't it have been good? But it wasn't.
I think Cooper's a fantastic signing for Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
I think
definitely.
there's a few comments there in regards to in the short time he was on. He did. I mean, the fact he can head a ball forward and not looping it up in the air and behind him. You know, he's passing. He seems to be confident with his passing. I don't know what sort of pace he's got, but I really liked him. Thought it was really good. But I do think that maybe Pedersen had a thought with him and Iorfa in the centre, but I don't know whether Iorfa's now on Christmas leave. We'll see what this injury brings.
Well, we'll see what happens. He might be joining Neymar's sister's party. We never know how it's going on. Let's do some adverts, because I've got a hot topic for you, kids.
The Wednesday week will be back soon. Oh, yeah.
Yes, boys and girls, it's that time of the evening where I talk to you about what the big talking point is this week, what the hot topic is. It's almost as if you're listening to my show on TalkSport 2, where we do a section called You Tell Me, and I may have lifted it from this show. Brace yourself, it's happening. Hot topic! Oh, I think I broke something there. I got some feedback and I went, oh, I've broken everybody's speakers. So don't adjust your set, ladies and gentlemen. This is the bit where I ask you out there listening. I would like your opinion on this if you're watching live, or if you're listening back. Get when you pull over safely, pull over at South Mims or Membry services, because they're elite services. Don't go to Fleet, they're rubbish. But pull over and make sure you get in touch with the socials on this hot topic. And the question is our role as crowd. Now, yesterday at Hillsborough, there was 32,000 people at Hillsborough. There was 32,000 people in a ground, and there were 2,500 of them were supporting the other side, meaning the best part of 30,000 people were on our side. And as soon as the second chorus of Hi-Yo Silver Lining finished, we were still playing the fucking song, by the way, when the game started. I don't know if anybody noticed. We timed that wrong. There was even comments about the DJ getting it wrong before the players came out, and why we had Steve Bracknell trying to get us. But yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. But anyway, as soon as that second chorus of Hi-Yo Silver Lining played out, the ground, and I'm sorry, Charlie, in advance for using this phrase, was flat as a witch's tit. I don't know how witches are how voluptuous witches are supposed to be, but I believe that they're on the negative end of the scale. I did try and avoid using that phrase this evening, and asked ChatGPT if you've got any other uses for that phrase, and they went with flat as a Scouser's wallet, which I was like, all right, ChatGPT, chucking shade out. I can't, you know what I mean? I enjoyed that. I don't know what they've been googling up at OpenAI, but yeah, it was either the boobs or the Scousers, and I thought I'd leave the Scousers well alone. Now, the question, to get to the point of this question is, when, for example, we were 4-0 down against Peterborough, Hillsborough was absolutely incredible. It was incredible. It was non-stop noise from start to finish, chant after chant after chant. That was our role that day. We've gone into a Sheffield derby knowing that we're up against it, but knowing that there was the slightest chance that we could win because their morale is on its arse, and losing breeds losing. I felt that as a crowd, we didn't do our bit. Now, having said that, I guess what I'm asking is it up to the players to give us something to shout about, or should have we just been blindly chanting anyway? Or are we so apathetic right now and we don't really want to, make ourselves look daft because we know that the squad is in absolute turmoil? So essentially, why were we so quiet? You know what I mean? I really want to get into that, and I want you guys in the comments to get into that, because I felt that the atmosphere for a derby was fucking rubbish. It was rubbish. I know that the tentative cagey affairs, but I felt we had an opportunity because we didn't have the band back in March, and we did have it this time round. Not even they could be asked. And I noticed that the band were missing, and I know not everybody's a fan of the band, but I noticed they were missing back in March. This time round we had them. And we had one of those that they do when they want to G it up and stuff like that. We had a couple of... That was it. That was it. So I want you to tell... Is it a mutual thing? Should have we just been cheering anyway? Or are we that done? Stevie, I'll come to you first.
Initially, I thought it's a little from column A and a little from column B in terms of, do the players motivate us or do we motivate the players? But then the more that I'm listening to you, the more I'd throw it back to you, Dan, and I'd say, if you sang and chanted, and I'll be honest with you, I have to disagree to an extent. I thought we were quite vocal for the first 6-7 minutes. I didn't mean to do that, by the way.
Kids going nuts right now. The kids going, oh, yeah. Mr. Spence!
Hey! The moment the goal went in, that was it. Game was done. And I would challenge anybody on this podcast, I'd challenge anybody listening, would you have kept singing knowing that 2 minutes later you've watched Dominic Iorfa try and play, whether it were a square ball or a back pass, straight to Danny Ings, and Ethan Horvath, who's an absolute liability, comes out? That's when people start sitting there going, fucking hell, this has happened, and then this has happened, and he's rubbish, and we should have this. It's not the same since this player was here, and blah, 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 blah. And it then suddenly descends into a situation where you're waiting for the next bollock to be dropped. You're waiting for the next mistake. You're waiting for the next thing to happen. And I feel it around me. I don't comment on the people that sit by me too much publicly, but I've got a lot of people, respectfully, that sit behind me that don't like saying positive things. They don't. And it winds up my mates to a certain degree. They had a field day yesterday. And I just go back to the point where we've got 13, 14 players that are in contention for a starting lineup, a starting berth. What are we going to do? I just don't feel that they are giving us enough, that we've got no expectation. And I just think everything just feels flat as a fart.
Flat as a fart is what I could have gone with. That's also a good one. I'll bear in mind to remember that. There was some absolute awful scenes at Hillsborough yesterday, Charlie. There was one where I sit is the gap, it was right next to the gap between the Kop and the South Stand, and there was a kid who came running down the stairs through that gap to hit a bloke who I can only describe, he looked like a substitute teacher, the most passive looking fella, and a geezer ran through 8 stewards who all knew what he was trying to do because he was shouting abuse to do it, and punched the geezer right in front of the stewards. So it was absolutely terrible to watch. And the geezer didn't understand what were going off. And there was these young kids in front of me who was like 10 years old. And they were like, oh, that's my mate. And my stepdad turns around and goes, well, your mate must be weird because he's like 25 and you're like 10. How's he knocking about with you? And I went, And then I said to these kids, I went, if he's your mate, tell him he's a fucking knobhead. And all of a sudden now we're having I'm having a tear up with 10-year-olds now. You know what I mean? It was palpable. I guess what I'm saying is the atmosphere was palpable. We can see how fed up we are. And do you reckon that it's all the off the field stuff and a constant battering of what's been going on, why we aren't involved on, you know what I mean, in the chanting and the singing as much as we should have been?
So if I can make a possibly slightly controversial answer to this, maybe not controversial is not the right word. So there is a massive reason, I think, that the atmosphere at Hillsborough and the atmosphere at home is poles apart from the atmosphere away. The atmosphere away is famously fantastic. Very much like even when you guys are getting battered 6-0, you're always singing. The average age of a football fan has gone up by about 20 to 25 years in the last decade. And a lot of that comes from financial things. So the vast majority of season ticket holders at Hillsborough are of the older generation, or they are people there with their smaller kids. Generally, I defend people's right to watch football however they want. Not everybody, the people that sit around my dad, they sing a bit, but generally, a lot of them are blokes my dad's age and older. They're not necessarily going to be roaring and screaming the entire time. And maybe that's okay to a certain extent. I do think there's a lot to be said for the atmosphere is not just about constant screaming and shouting. There is just as much atmosphere in reactions and crowds and clapping and go on, all that kind of stuff. Not everything always has to be about sort of the singing. You see it the first few games back after Chancery had gone and obviously the Peterborough second leg, all those kind of games. Hillsborough has that potential to be geared up. But if we're judging atmosphere just simply by everybody just constantly being on their feet, screaming and going off, you're never going to get that. And you don't get that nowadays. We have the most expensive season tickets in the league pretty much. Generally, a lot of those people aren't there. That kind of life isn't there. And that's fine. I defend the right of a bunch of working class older blokes to just sit on the cop and be a bit quiet. I think that's okay. I don't think it comes from a lack of passion on the fans' part. What I will say is ultimately, if you're a comedian and your audience aren't laughing, that's because you're shit. That's effectively what it is. You can say you don't get my material, it's not the right kind of crowd, or have you all been sleepy from a long day at work. But ultimately, if your bits aren't dropping, your bits aren't landing, you're shit.
You leave my bits alone.
Sorry, I wasn't talking about your bit specifically. They always get a round of applause whenever you're on stage.
Jesus Christ Almighty!
Only if he's been shredding. Anyway,
I just think that you can't blame the paying customers for not being into the shit show to a certain extent. It's hard to have that mentality of why aren't we all clapping and cheering? Because it's shit. Because it's kind of shit. And also, a lot of these people are they're out doing their hobby. They don't all have to be giving. I mean, is there a worse chant than stand up if you love Wednesday? Fuck off. It's freezing and we're crap. Just the constant, the guilting of being better stand up or you hate your own team. Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me alone. I'm so old, please. But when we go away, when people go away, it's people that are prepared to get up at the crack of dawn and get tinnied up and absolutely scream and shout the whole time. That's fine. That's a different kind of passion. I really do think that there is a whole sense of atmosphere that is palpable and is gainable when you've got good stuff happening on the pitch, off the pitch, or whatever. But ultimately, I think it's so easy to be oh, it's like a library in here. Yeah, because it's a bunch of people just watching the football. That is okay.
Fucking hell, Charlie. You are getting absolute love in the comments for that, by the way. Simon,
I thought that might be a bit controversial.
But you've got absolutely agree, Charlie. Spot on, Charlie. Bang on, Chaz. I like loads of it. And then you mentioned the stand up if you love Wednesday, and then Jack Fox said, "I was a stand up if you love Wednesday bloke on cop telling us to sit down." That does happen. And then I love the way you mentioned about the age gaps and things like that and all the rest of it. And Paul Turton comment of the night went, He goes, "You're making us sound like a load of old blokes with a flask and blanket." Granted, that's me to a T.
That's it. That's fine. And I love that. I think that's great. I wouldn't take that away from anyone. I love my blanket and my flask. I think that's
And then
fine.
you also uttered the word customers as well. And Matt Talbot says customers. A certain someone called us that.
Controversial.
Yeah, Matt, that's the joke. So I like Matt. Honestly, he gets involved. Sorry, I'm not digging him out. JJH just went bollocks. I don't know
Ray.
what that's in reference
Finally.
to. But yeah, I feel like well, and Stu Williams has told us to rename the show Chazcast. She's been my spirit animal tonight. I feel like that was a lot there, Simon. I feel like Charlie brought up some good points there. Personally speaking, I don't have the endeavour to stand up. Like for example, right, when we were at the Peterborough semi-final on the comeback game, I didn't sit down the entire game, right? I wanted to be up. I wanted to be up for it. I wanted to give my support as much as possible. But when I go into that ground now, especially for a league game, I'm sat there thinking, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like here we go, here we are, lads.
I don't think it's a Hillsborough phenomenon. I think it's football as a whole, which has stemmed from pretty much stadiums becoming all-seaters. And I think we've seen it as away fans going to grounds that, we've seen it at Charlton, we've seen it at Norwich, we've seen it. Coventry City a few seasons ago seemed to manage to turn it around, and they put an area which was next to the away end that was quite vocal. But again, last season, it was quiet again. I think it's endemic across all football stadiums. I mean, people have even spoken about Anfield being quiet. And I think obviously I am the grandfather of the podcast, although I'm not a grandfather, by the way. But the fact is that no, I only have a 17-year-old son. Don't even fucking think about that even. So I stood on the Cop. That's where I started at Hillsborough with my dad on the Cop. And we always used to, they had barriers dotted around, and you either stood with one behind you, or we always stood with one behind us, because when we scored, the whole Cop moved, right? And it was all about that atmosphere and bouncing up and down. And people, there's photographs of the Cop in the 60s. Bear in mind, I didn't go until the late 80s, because I wasn't born until 1970. Wasn't born until 1970, but a few years before Steve, not many. And so, we've got pictures of the Cop with 60, 70,000 people on. That atmosphere has been taken out of it. That atmosphere has been taken out of it at home games. We've done the German games, haven't we, Dan? And it's very partisan. And even when there's a guy at the front with a megaphone getting the fans going, they actually have particular people who are there to get the crowd going. We don't have that. We don't have that at home. We don't have it at all. It's gone. The life's been sucked out of us because we sit down, and I sit in the grandstand, and there are people who sit around you and they turn up, and they've started turning up recently who never sat around us before, and you listen to them and you think, oh God, please don't come next week. Please don't come next week. Please just don't come next week. Because
that's the worst bit about seating, isn't it? Because they are going to come back next week.
Yeah, exactly. And it always used before, up until this season, it was quite a big group.
That's what I was just laughing at. Sorry, that comment is what I was just laughing at myself about.
I was going to say Mark Pittsmore, because wasn't he in front of the away end? He was in the West Lower, wasn't he? I think there was a video of him giving the Blaze fans. And let's not forget, I'm sorry, there was a comment further up about United were loud. That's the quietest I've ever heard United in a derby. It was one of the quietest derbies I've ever known. And Peterborough game, what if we'd not scored that goal really earlier on? Where would the atmosphere have gone then? It's like Charlie said, it's all driven about performance. It's all hitting that point, that note that turns you on in regards to getting the crowd going, and there was nothing that could turn us on yesterday to get the crowd going, wasn't it? Yeah, the loudest was our side. No, it wasn't. It wasn't until you were 3-0 up, and then all of a sudden you started singing when you knew that you were going to beat us. Before that, I thought you were poor, really. It was quiet for a derby.
It was. It's an interesting one. I really wanted to try and get to the bottom of what people thought about the atmosphere. I was personally really disappointed with it, but I feel like we've lost the group of people that got people up. There used to be a group of people. I'm going back 30 years now at the back of the Cop, and it was a big old swell of people that was constantly shouting and chanting and screaming, and they all seemed to move to T1. And Tango took his mates over to that weird bit where it's dead windy and dead cold. I just feel like we've lost something. We've lost something as a society, and I feel like there are probably people who are 20 and under who don't really understand chanting, and they don't really understand what it is.
Apparently, the EFL. I read something last week that the EFL have made it mandatory. You've got to have safe standing areas now. So it's something that we've got to bring in at Hillsborough or another stadium. So there are going to be points now where I'm hoping that. I mean, I was actually involved with quoting for putting safe standing into Hillsborough over the summer. Our company was approached to do it, but then obviously the shit show that happened afterwards, they didn't spend the money. But they were looking at safe standing in the Cop, T1, and also the back of the away end. So it's coming. So hopefully we'll get that next season, and that might inject some atmosphere. Who knows?
See,
can anybody tell me where there is a good atmosphere and what you'd aspire to have an atmosphere like?
Borussia Dortmund.
In
Berlin.
I get that, but jokes aside, we sit here and we do it, and we've talked about drums, we've talked about somebody getting them up with an instrument or anything else. Is it it's Middlesbrough? I'm sure Middlesbrough have got somebody that drum. I think West Brom do something similar. And then I stand in the away and then I just think, right.
That's because you're a Wendy Dar, Stevie. That's because you're a Wendy Dar. Bear in mind, football in this country, light show, nonce behaviour, buying popcorn, wrong'un. You know what I mean? Anything that's not rattles and cloth caps, dads have got a big issue with. And a man with a drum cannot be trusted.
Listen, I thought I watched the North London derby yesterday, and I thought Arsenal put on a hell of a show. The light show beforehand, got themselves a nice tidy little tifo that went up, and I thought that was great. Then they sang that North London song that they do at the beginning, and then everything else that you get, and they're top of the Premier League by 6 points, I think it is tonight. They cheer good football. They cheer when their team scores goals. They do things when their team are attacking and progressing, and they're on it. And I think we would do the same, even though we just spent the last 15 minutes talking about it. I think we would do exactly the same if we had Barry Bannon laying the ball down to Harry Amass, who crosses the ball in, and Ike Ogbo scores a goal. If we did that 5 times a week, not Ike Ogbo scoring 5 times a week, but you get to that point, when you see it on a more regular basis, it's going to get people out of the seats. It's going to get people excited. I can remember Masaba's equaliser. I think it was season before last against QPR, right at the death. Everybody in on the south went up, and you could see them all rising as he went, scored the goal, took his shirt off. It happens. We react to with football. We're just not seeing any of it at the moment.
That's the question, isn't it? Yeah. That's the question we're asking. You know what I mean? Should we be doing it blindly to get them up to play the football, or should we be reacting to the football? Is he sensitive?
Hand in hand, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I just going back to some comments that we had on the back of that. Matt Talbot, when if you go and pay to watch a movie and it was shit, would you walk out happy? And Jason answered this really well. He went, "No, I'm a Yorkshireman. If it was shit, I'm staying."
I'm staying.
That's it. Absolutely right.
Staying till the end.
Which I really liked. And Ian Kennedy went, "So annoying that the Owls did not turn up for the supporters on a special day." And there's an element of that. It was made more frustrating after we, the fans, turned up for them with the sales at the club. We had a better atmosphere in London outside an embassy with Mark the Pitch Morale producing magical cans from his tracky top than we did at Hillsborough during the local derby. I was really disappointed. Disappointed by the Cop. Stevie, have you got any other business to add on?
Oh, I've had an absolute brain fart. I don't think we have.
I don't
not
think we
short
have. I
ones.
think it was just this shittery, wasn't it? Charlie, you were asked about this jumper, by the way. Is it new?
It's my dad's. It didn't fit him, so I'll have to find out where he got it from.
I'm
So-
not going to tell you to model it after you. Well, the last time we had you on, I asked you to show me the sponsor on your shirt, which seemed like a ploy to turn this into a way to get more subscribers from the dads. All right, then. Listen, chaps, it's been an absolute pleasure. Stevie, Simon, Charlie, thank you so much for joining us. Are you staying up tonight and drinking more blooch?
Hell yeah.
I've just remembered an AOB that we're going to sign off on and not discuss because we'd be here for another hour.
Oh, what was it?
We've not talked about the offers that have come in.
Or points.
I don't think there's much to talk
We
about.
don't know anything.
Points
Apparently-
deductions and new grounds.
Apparently, 12 people have come and kicked the tires. They've proved they've got 50 million in the bank, which wasn't how much the club is costing. The 50 million is an arbitrary figure to make sure that they've got money in the bank in order to take us forward. And I trust Chris Wigfield. I trust him because he's a Wednesday fan and he spoke so well and he's managed to galvanise us all together. I feel like he will get the best deal for Sheffield Wednesday. And the fact that I don't know anything about it sits well with me.
And me. Being called Simon and knowing nothing is amazing.
There was one question we got asked, and I did favourite it, but I've lost it. But it was,
if you're looking for that, just one super quick quote. Wigfield in his press release yesterday saying about the takeover. As a Wednesday fan, I'm excited by the people behind those bids. Gives me some sort of vibe. It gives me some sort of positivity. I agree with everything that's been said in terms of not knowing is probably for the best. If we're operating with NDAs and things like that, and I've got this real, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I've got this real fascination now with side talk. I've only discovered it in the last week.
Okay, let me put a pin in that one for you, Stevie, because that was the quote I was looking for. I just wanted to stop you off there because and I want to answer this question. Then that was a good segue. So the question comes from Jacob123, and he says, "Can I ask a question? Why, when people mention side talk, you never answer it? Is it because it gets everything right? If so, you should be praising facts that's being put out." I'm going to answer that one personally. I normally fire this out. This last 6 months has been full of a lot of people saying, this is this is that, this is going to happen, this is what's going on. I can't tell you this, but bloody hell, you better get behind me. And if you don't, you're a scab and all the rest of it. I am tired, Jacob, man. I'm tired. I if you can imagine doing a show like this, I get a lot of messages, I got a lot of people, and a lot of it is a lot of shit. However, side talk personally, I feel does get a lot right. And there's a lot coming out, and like South Stand Pie as well. He clearly knows something, right? I'm not saying he don't. I don't know. I just don't feel it's a public forum to discuss those types of things. However, I'm not slating that he doesn't know anything. Does that make sense? I feel like he does, and that's his knitting to get that out there. And it would be remiss of me to do this online and then steal somebody else's content and pass it off as my own. Do you know what I mean? If Si wants to come on the show and we discuss it, Christ, I'd love that. That'd be great, But he's got his own numbers and content and all the rest of it. But I don't know if you were going to say the same, Stevie.
Effectively, that, like I said, we're very much on this show about not reporting things that you hear on, through those. We'll tip our hat to it and we'll say this has been said and that's been said, but we're not going to fall over ourselves. And that's not being disrespectful, but there's nothing that comes without any sort of substance with those things. The green ticks that Si will talk about, they come after the fact. By which point it's not worth talking about because, like you just said, Dan, it's his content. I've got a fascination with it. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong. I'm not saying that I am for or against, although I'm kind of for the things that he says because they are quite exciting and it makes for interesting stuff to listen to because he comes with, those little bits. But no, I'm totally on board with everything that you're saying. I think you've articulated the podcast, our standpoint very well there.
Yeah, if he wants to come on, I will happily sit and talk to him, and we'll go through the points he's got. I don't want to pass off somebody else's work as my own and try and garner numbers. I am here for light entertainment, a good few knob gags, and some ill-timed swear words. You know what I mean? That's what I'm here for. You know what I mean?
And being inappropriate with Charlie.
Inadvertently. Hey, listen, that happens because Mr. Vancouver, the Blades fan who's been on tonight, says if Charlie is ever in North America,
Gio, come on now.
Charlie, if you're going to Canada, darling, you cannot be using phrases like Gio. You have to put your English accent.
They won't let me in.
Wait until he discovers the goo.
Yeah, I can think of 6.5 million reasons why Charlie won't be going to North America.
Yeah, they don't let her in.
Every day since I joined this podcast has lowered my social standing considerably, daily.
Well, you would lower it. You couldn't lower it anymore if you were going to go and meet a blade in North America. Really? Yeah. Would you? That would
really?
Be low. Yeah, point. Really.
Thanks for tuning in, though, mate. Thanks for tuning in. What time is it where you are? What are you playing at? What is happening?
Yeah. I'll spend the airfare to go meet a blade in Canada.
What a degenerate episode this is turned into.
We've done really badly. Charlie's got drunk and we've all ranted.
And apparently he's a good-looking lad.
I tell you what, Maury Blades vlogs and Mr. Vancouver need to get a room, preferably one without Charlie in it, by the sounds of it. But listen, thanks a lot for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think we've done well. I think we've had fun. Chaps, the Blades fans watching tonight, thanks for getting involved. I don't mean it as a dig.
Come back anytime.
We agree. Come back. Side talk. If you are watching, reach out on our socials and let's get on and see if we can get the message out. Whatever. I don't want to say peddling. Whatever message you're getting out, I'm happy to amplify. I think is the process, is the correct vernacular. I'm gonna stick a pin in this. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight, Stevie, Charlie, Simon. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
But he said we'll win the league next season.
Bringing you modern references.
I did a little 1920s fist pump there. Not done that in a while.
If we could do just a 1-to-1, not me because it'd last 7 days apparently, like Craig David.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This show's like you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that.
Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble, wobble, Cyber Jordan. When, hey, you got to play a 4-4-2. I don't know where these jokes are coming from.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday week. Join us.
Put on your pod